Robots took my podcast, man.
This is Alfredo Garcia. He's about to become a very important man.
We are looking for an old buddy of ours, a compadre named Alfredo Garcia.
A private army is scouring 3 countries to find Alfredo Garcia.
Well, don't worry, if he's alive, I'll find him. Alive isn't our problem.
Someone has offered $1 million for his head.
If I ever get my hands on him, I'm gonna kill him.
All we require from you is physical proof that Garcia is dead.
And we're prepared to settle for his head.
Bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia. This man will become an animal.
Alfredo's our saint. He's a saint of our money.
I want to take it to him.
I love you.
This woman's dreams of love will be destroyed.
I've been here before. You don't know the way.
Innocent people will suffer.
With Alfredo's help, we can do anything, honey.
Holy ground will be desecrated.
You don't want me to be part of that, do you?
You are a part of it.
25 people will die.
Just being together is enough.
No, it's not, baby.
All because of Alfredo Garcia, and only one man really knows why.
Kill him.
Sam Peckinpah, director of the greatest adventure films of our time, has made possibly his most powerful and startling motion picture.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to our podcast, The Robots Took My Podcast. I am Jordan, and with me is Anthony. Anthony, what movie are we talking about today?
I'm Anthony.
Sorry.
Also on this podcast.
I'm sorry. Let's start over one more time.
No,
I
you're fine.
promise
Let's
I'll
go.
get this better.
Let's just go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to our podcast, The Robots Took My Podcast. I am Jordan.
And I am Anthony.
Anthony, what movie are we talking about today?
We are talking about a movie from 1974, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia.
Yes.
A movie directed by the great Sam Peckinpah.
Sam Peckinpah, the action director, Western movie director, list goes on.
In my opinion, only, I don't know, Sam Peckinpah is one of the most interesting American filmmakers of all time, frankly.
Yeah, I agree.
There's
no director like him.
No director like him. I mean, I know the studios cut his movies up, but I mean, I don't know how do you explain Sam Peckinpah movies? They're violent, they're super macho. Even when they're not a Western, they're a Western.
Boy, are they macho. Yeah, they are.
And as a human being, as a person, he did nothing but fight with the studios. He hated producers. He was a problem to work with. He was completely saddled by substance abuse and alcohol issues.
Yeah, cocaine and alcohol, apparently.
Cocaine and alcohol, pills later on.
And hard liquor we're talking. Yeah.
Oh, man. He was a man's man. Whenever you think of like the problem director who's waving a gun around on set, that's Sam Peckinpah.
And a heavy cigarette smoker, obviously. Probably.
Totally.
I'm not talking just a occasional step out for a smoke guy.
The kind of guy who drinks from the bottle of liquor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not pouring a glass at a time. Not sipping.
He's killing bottles of liquor.
He's chugging it.
Despite all of that, a very interesting filmmaker. The list goes on with Sam Peckinpah, but mostly these were violent movies, capers and westerns, like you mentioned. And I think Peckinpah was really, not to sound arty or whatever, but Peckinpah was really exploring ideas of honor and virtue and what it is to be a man. And he knew what affects men, what really touches on their insecurities.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whenever you are bested by another man, humiliated by another man.
And it seems like in any movie, any Sam Peckinpah movie, the few that I've watched, like this one and The Wild Bunch, and it's a man's world, baby, literally. I mean, you might as well put the James Brown song on every movie Sam Peckinpah makes.
Yeah.
And you feel it.
As a man, you feel it. And that's the thing is, I think he understood that he put a lot of his insecurities on the screen, which is maybe a lot of men share that.
Yeah.
You know, relationship issues. Women tend to be quite one-dimensional in Sam Peckinpah movies.
Yeah, you bring up a point I didn't think about, because he does show a lot of man's insecurities at the same time. That's the interesting dichotomy, I guess, with Sam Peckinpah, right? Even though
Yeah.
Monty Hillman, the director who once knew Sam Peckinpah, the late director Monty Hillman, may he rest in peace, said Sam Peckinpah would never get into Hollywood today. He would be considered an insurance risk, basically.
Oh, his movies are not PC at all.
Yeah.
And were shocking even at the time. I mean, they show violence against women, and
Yeah.
women in his movies are all sort of virtuous whores. I think that
Yeah.
as we get into this film, we will see
That's a good way to put it, I guess.
portrays women, but they have to
Yeah.
exist in this man's world. So they're rarely weak characters.
Yeah. Sometimes they're even furniture, dare I say,
Yeah.
in his
Yeah.
movies. I hate to, and I mean, he is from another time and place, people. That's the only, I'm not forgiving any of this either, but
Yeah. But at the same time, his characters are interesting. They're flawed. They're multifaceted, and it's almost a European sensibility that
Mhm.
Sam Peckinpah has.
I heard he was influenced by Kurosawa, of all people.
I bet.
Kurosawa, he made Westerns essentially, even though they were in the East, I mean,
Oh yeah,
they were Eastern, he
Kurosawa
made,
influenced generations of American filmmakers, but
yeah.
I can see that, especially in the sense that certain Kurosawa films are very operatic in their spectacle. They don't shy away
Mhm,
from violence. They don't make violence
Right.
pretty. And I think even Tarantino was really influenced by Peckinpah as well.
Absolutely. And Rodriguez, for that matter. And yeah.
But whereas they sort of make violence comedic, Sam Peckinpah is not having fun with his violence.
It's also, in a weird way, though, balletic, I think, his violence, you know?
Yeah.
It's always, you notice how, I dare say that Peckinpah's movies invented the whole die in slow motion thing, or you get shot normal speed, camera-wise, to get technical here, and then you die in slow motion.
Yeah.
Or you get, the blood, the squib comes out in slow motion, and you keel over in slow motion.
And he was very much an editor. That's why I think, the studio's chopping his movies down, because he would have taken forever to film movies, apparently, on top of his substance abuse issues. But he would edit the hell out of them too, and have very specific. So he shot with an editor's eye, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that included messing with time. He would intersperse slow motion with regular motion. It wasn't like always like long shots of slow motion. It'd be like quick cuts of slow motion. Very interesting sort of cinematography he has to his films.
His style is definitely influential to the director John Woo on his action films, for sure. John Woo kind of borrowed that same kind of style of balletic violence, I dare call it, where it's not real violence. It's more comic bookish, but also played up operatically, as you say, and balletically, to get all artsy fartsy here talking. But yeah.
You kind of have to. It's very interesting. I'm sure a lot of people know who Peckinpah is, and this is nothing new to you. But if you like film and you want to check out some interesting things, check out some Peckinpah movies, especially from a little before this period. The Getaway, Straw Dogs, which is just disturbing. And if you really have some time on your hands, The Wild Bunch.
Straw Dogs, you might want to take a shower after and have a big fat drink after, honestly, because it's that kind of movie. It's really
see a therapist.
My mother told me that my father took her to see that back when it came out, and she said, I never want to see that again.
Oh, not a date movie. Not a date movie.
No. I don't know what my dad
Alfredo Garcia is more of a date movie than Straw Dogs, but that's his power. I mean, again, he understands his characters. He did a lot of his own writing. So in a lot of ways, what makes the film, despite some of the editing the studios would do, is what he intended. Kind of like we were talking about Russ Meyer. I mean, like it or don't like it, this is what he wanted. And the Head of Alfredo Garcia was the movie he had the most, I believe, creative control on, which is interesting.
Yes, very true. From what I know too, on my little bit of research, you talk about editing a lot. I hear, fun fact, I think Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia's editing was a nightmare for the person cutting the negative for the movie. Because back then, kids, after you edited a movie, they would conform it to a negative. So you had to match cut. Literally, you're laying strips of film out and you're matching the cuts because you got to print that negative. You got to make prints off that negative for the theaters. And there's so many cuts in Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. And especially in a couple of the main action sequences, there's so many cuts on a French Connection level. I mean, even we're talking cutting wise, French Connection climax wise, and it was a nightmare for the negative cutter on the movie apparently, because there was like more than 1,000 cuts sometimes in one sequence. I can only imagine back then, especially with the way technology was. It's not like now. Digital's made all that easier, of course, now with negative.
Oh yeah, back then it was a chore. I mean, Peckinpah was thinking of seconds of film.
Yeah. But that style was ahead of it. That was ahead of time, kind of. That was later adapted also in music videos, that quick cutting style.
I know. And I mean, there were other people doing similar things, but he definitely had his own style. He definitely had his own vision, and on every level, how a film looked, and then how the actors were directed and how it was written, obviously. So we could talk about Sam Peckinpah all day long. And we haven't even really talked about substance abuse issues. But anyway.
Oh man, yeah. But we could we just couldn't not start the podcast and not, talk about Sam Peckinpah's background a little bit. I mean, you can't not mention his background because I mean, even though he was a demented genius, more or less, and very excessive
haunted
on every level.
Demons.
Some kind of demons. I don't know if it was war, childhood, or his upbringing. And also apparently Paul Schrader, the director writer, said that he would rise and fall like a lot and then pull a Phoenix act every time after he fell and be like, oh, I'm sorry, everyone. Sorry for that, everyone.
Yeah. I mean, he would do that. He'd blow up on people. And then I heard he would be magnanimous. He would, give people like an expensive bottle of brandy and apologize. He was a complex person. He was on one hand vehement and everyone was scared of him. But on the other hand, he'd be very gracious and sensitive. So like this bipolar personality with him. And I think, when you talk about a lot of geniuses in art, and that line between like brilliance and insanity is just so razor thin. And I think he was existing on both sides of that line at the same time, because nobody will say ever that, I'm sure somebody, but nobody will honestly say that Sam Peckinpah was a bad director or that he made bad films. They may say, I don't really like his films or whatever, but you can recognize the man knew what he was doing. He was some kind of genius. And I think even Roger Ebert said about this film years later that it was like some sort of weird, twisted masterpiece. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia.
Let's talk about this movie. Yeah, let's talk about this movie. It starts out with what?
It's
a weird lead in this movie. Yeah.
It looks like a TV movie, Jordan. Just the titles, the pacing.
Yeah. I hate to say it. It looks like, I'm going to be harsh here a little. Well, maybe it's not harsh, but it looks like a novella from the early 70s. You said TV movie.
Like a TV
so yeah, it looks
novella.
it looks like a miniseries novella. From the 70s, the way it's shot. And it has a lovely young pregnant woman sitting next to the water, nursing her stomach. And you see that she's fully pregnant. And this is leading into something, right?
Yeah. Cause a bunch of dudes, this lady comes up and says, your father wants to see you. And then these two scary looking Mexican dudes. And we're in Mexico, by the way, everybody.
We're in Mexico. Yes. So we might say Mexican.
And the entire movie takes place in Mexico with a mostly Mexican cast, which is interesting. American movie made in Mexico.
Oh yeah. And it's very colorful, beautiful.
Yeah. These two dudes grab this girl, drag her in. And then we see they're sort of like reading through some documents. I don't know if it's a will or what it is.
We meet her scary father, right?
Yeah. And this dude is played by Emilio Fernandez. You killed my father, prepare to die, as El Jefe, who is this bad Mexican boss. He's a big crime boss, and he's played by apparently a stalwart Mexican actor and director, well-regarded Emilio Fernandez, who was Mapache, if you'll remember, in The Wild Bunch. He played like the main actor.
That's right.
And he's just great. He just looks like an old Mexican gangster. I mean, he just looks that way. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has that look on his face.
her father is, I mean, he's so scary looking, yeah, in this movie. And yeah, just from the moment they bring her in to see him, it's like, uh-oh. You just automatically feel like, uh-oh, this isn't going to go well.
So many times in this movie where somebody enters the scene, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. And this is where am I skipping ahead here? This is where some oh shit moment happens. They threaten to break her arm, the two goons.
Yeah, they rip her clothes off.
And he keeps asking her in Spanish, who's the father? Who is the father? There's no subtitles here, folks, but luckily I knew a few words in Spanish myself. So
yeah. But anyway, yeah, he's just like, who's the father? She's just defiant.
Yeah. It's almost like this is the beginning of what this movie is, which is almost a horror film. Yes, I will dare say. But I'll go into more of that later on, of course.
We'll talk about that more later, but I see where you're going with that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, though, and then he keeps asking over and over. She doesn't want to answer. Yeah.
He just keeps asking, and then finally they twist her arm, and they cut to an exterior establishing shot.
And you hear that
just
painful cracking sound.
So Peckinpah doesn't show a young 14-year-old, 16-year-old girl being hit, a pregnant girl. Yes. Thank goodness. He restrained himself.
Thank goodness. Thank you, Sam Peckinpah, for being merciful this time. Jeez.
But you heard it, so it's just as bad. And then you got back.
Yeah,
and then...
You're right. It doesn't make any better.
So she finally, like one of the dudes, like hits her, and then they throw her to the ground, and then he rips this locket off of her.
Yeah. Oh.
And the locket has a picture in it
of Alfredo Garcia.
Garcia.
Big reveal. Yes. And he's got nice teeth.
Mapache or the El Jefe is like, he was like a son to me.
Yeah. You can tell by the photo. He looks like a charmer.
Yeah, that's the damn
He looks like
thing.
A sweet talker from the photo.
He's got good hair. He has this like douchebag mustache. He's got like a turtleneck. And all you ever see of Alfredo, good looking guy. All you see of Alfredo Garcia in this movie is that picture. No matter what happens.
Yeah, he looks like a guy who goes to church on Sunday, maybe. He looks like a guy you could bring home to mom,
He kind of looks like he's kind of a rake. He's kind of a roguish dude. He's the kind of dude that will sleep with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
He's a charmer. Everyone
sleep
loves
with your wife.
Guy.
Yeah, probably. Just because, and just with pure charm, possibly. That's what you get, right? Just from the photo. That's the interesting thing about the photo, though, I think, honestly. But is it the photo, though, or is it the editing? You give the audience a photograph, they fill in their blanks with things in their mind, right? That's kind of powerful, right?
It is. And that's why I'm saying Peckinpah knows exactly what he was doing.
He definitely knew editing, that's for sure.
I mean, because there are other examples are just not coming to me, but how many films are about a person you never really see, you just hear about?
Yeah.
And luckily he gave us a picture, but he didn't even have to give us a picture, but giving us that picture, every time someone's talking about Alfredo Garcia, you can picture like this good looking sort of charming dude who's kind of a dick, doesn't give a shit, just taking care of business and just charming the room. Your mind builds this whole idea of who Alfredo Garcia is throughout this film.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me.
That's the funny thing. You see this photo that Sam Peckinpah gives you in the movie, and you have you have that first reaction that I'm talking about. Oh, what a charmer, and then the second reaction. Oh, what a fucking douchebag.
He's probably both.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
he looks like a fucking douche. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. And you look at the picture again, you're like, you smug piece of shit, Of
course he slept with his daughter, you piece of shit. Yeah, exactly.
But it's Alfredo Garcia. You can't blame Alfredo, Jordan. I mean, come on, he's a good guy.
Yeah. As you see, though, as we see later on, he was very well loved, apparently, still. Anyway.
I'm surprised he wasn't nominated for an Oscar. That'd be the first time a picture
the guy in the photo, the actor in the photo. I mean, the actor in the photo, yeah.
He's the best performance in the film.
Yeah. The best performance by a locket in a movie.
Most films. Anyway, it's just that whole, I can talk about that for an hour. That whole idea is fascinating to me, but we have to
I didn't think about that till you bring that up, though. I didn't. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so where are we in the movie here? We're we've heard her arm break. Yeah.
Yeah. So the father is like, he says the movie title, "Bring me the head of Alfredo Garcia." He's like, "I'll give you $1 million." There's a bunch of criminal type standing around, and he's like, I'll give $1 million to the man who can bring me Alfredo Garcia's head. Very John the Baptist, very biblical, mafioso.
Yeah, operatic, like you said, very operatic.
And then everyone just leaves to go find Alfredo Garcia.
Yeah, and then everybody is after this fucking head.
It's like Cannonball Run, or it's like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. Everyone's after Alfredo Garcia.
We meet the two I'm not skipping ahead, right? We meet the two government guys first, right? Because we
they're not
find out one of the
government
guys
guys.
there is hiring another. Yeah.
They're like bad guys. They look like government, like FBI agents. And that's interesting.
Are they really just hitmen?
Yeah, they're like hitmen, gangster types. But the thing about Peckinpah did this in The Getaway too. Like his bad guys don't look like normal movie villains.
Yeah.
They look like guys that would work at a bank or something. Like they have suits on and they're,
Yeah. They kind of remind me of the villains in the James Bond movie, Diamonds Are Forever.
Yes.
A bit.
And why is that? Let's just get into it.
It's implied that they might be gay, and I think there's anything wrong with that. I love all people.
We see that, later on in this movie. But it's interesting.
And it's kind of touching. It's kind of touching in a way, their story, honestly. I'm not lying.
But I mean, I was thinking about that, Jordan, but I don't know how I know that. And that's why I think Peckinpah is a genius. I don't know what you get this impression. That's a good director. A good director can give you an impression without stating something. But even in the beginning,
I didn't get it automatically or until later on, of course, but you know what I mean?
You watch it again, you're like, there's some slide direction going on here that really somehow gives you that impression without hitting you over the head with it.
Yeah. Although, okay, wait, we haven't got to that scene yet. So
yeah, we'll continue this.
We meet these two guys and they're basically looking all over Mexico. Yes, there's a montage and they've got Alfredo Garcia's picture from the locket that they're using, right?
Yeah, and they're going around Mexico City looking for Alfredo Garcia, who's like a playboy all around, and nobody's seen him.
Everybody just nods their head no, so you get the idea,
Yeah, and scratching off the list. There's literally a montage where they're scratching things off the list, and they finally go to this bar.
And who do we meet, Anthony? Who do we meet?
We meet Benny, who is played by the great Warren Oates. Whom we last met on what film?
When we reviewed Race with the Devil.
Yeah, Race with the Devil.
Yeah, Warren Oates, fascinating actor to watch. Seriously, no joke.
Worked with Peckinpah a lot.
A great voice.
Sergeant Hulka from Strike. I mean, where do you begin? He was in The Heat of the Night. He was in so many things.
Lighten up, Francis.
Yeah, but at this era,
Blue Thunder,
he's kind of his own movie star. Like he's kind of a headliner, like we talked about during Race with the Devil. But he was in The Wild Bunch famously, and some other movies with Peckinpah.
Definitely,
and just a bunch of films. At this point, he's kind of making very interesting movies, and he worked with Peckinpah a couple of times. And I mean, he seems like a very Peckinpah actor. You know, he just kind of had one foot in westerns. You know. And Warren Oates looks like he just walked out of a Western. He's got this deep, craggy face and this toothy grin, and he is wearing sunglasses this whole movie, which is interesting.
Yeah, I didn't notice this. Maybe it was because I was finally watching this in high def, but I think his glasses have clip-on shades.
Yeah, I think they do too. They're weird sunglasses. But he has this look. Benny is this piano player in a bar, an American piano player in Mexico City, and he's playing for drunk tourists, American tourists.
Yeah.
And he is just not loving his life, you can tell, or he's kind of over it. He's selling it.
Yeah, he looks like he's only comfortable being drunk where he's working, I guess.
And this is a movie about alcoholics. He is an alcoholic. His girlfriend we meet later is an alcoholic. It's like Days of Wine and Roses, this movie. It's like everybody is just drunk all the time.
Yeah. I just wanted to say this movie is marinated in tequila for sure.
Brought to you by Jose Cuervo.
Yes,
for sure.
And brought to you by Pepe Lopez.
Pepe Lopez is Jose Cuervo's evil twin brother.
It's a real tequila. I have it on my shelf. No joke.
I have had it, and let me tell you, Pepe Lopez is not your friend.
I'm waiting for the Blanco version.
Bring me the head of Pepe Lopez is what I'm saying. I've had some bad mornings after Pepe Lopez came to the party. Anyway. Yeah. We'll follow this up on Tequila Talk, a new podcast that we're launching.
That reminds me of screenwriter Josh Olson, who wrote the movie, the Oscar.
Gordon, hold on. You dropped something. I think it's a name. Drop a name there.
I did drop a name. No, I was just going to say on Trailers from Hell, he has this great quote about this movie. He calls this movie a hangover from hell. And I mean that in a good way. Those are his words, not mine.
Oh yeah, the vibe isn't drunk. The vibe is definitely hungover. For sure. For some reason,
that's an interesting way to put it. I concur with Josh Olson on that. It feels more like a hangover, like a big tequila hangover.
This is not a fun drunk movie. This is a sad, depressed alcoholic movie in a lot of
Yes.
ways.
Definitely don't watch this movie sober, people, though. That's the odd
I
part.
mean, you might go to AA after watching this. But so anyway,
yeah.
Warren Oates is playing piano in this bar, and I believe just piano playing, and not that he did play piano, but I believe him as a piano player.
Yeah, he's selling it.
He seems worldly.
He's miming it properly. There's that shoulder action happening in the close-ups.
Yeah, but he just has this look, that mustache and those glasses. He just has this look. Warren Oates has a look like he hasn't in many other films. He just looks good in this role. The sunglasses.
He rocks those sunglasses. He rocks those sunglasses for sure.
I rarely say that, but anyway.
Yeah.
So
he looks fly, man. He looks fly in those sunglasses.
Yeah. The two dudes come in, Sappensley and Quill, which are the two bad guys. Yeah. And then they just walk into this place, and it's literally like a Western.
Yeah, it is.
Because this movie is basically a Western, in the modern era.
Yeah, it's about to get ugly here for a little bit, for a second, when these guys are negotiating with Benny, Warren Oates, of course.
Well, you say negotiating, but they just kind of walk in, and these two, because it's Mexico.
It is very saloonish, though.
Yeah, it's like a saloon. Exactly. And these two women walk up to them to comfort them, and this one dude just elbows this chick in the face.
That's what I mean. And yet we have strike 2 at hostility towards women in this movie.
Oh, God, drink every time there's like hostility towards women. Jeez.
Once again, in Sam Peckinpah's world, it's a man's world.
It's a man's world.
It's a man's world.
And so you're like, damn, that's your first moment where you're like, damn, in this movie.
By the way, you better cut that last part out. We might have to pay for that song, I guess, if I just said that. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, it was so off key, Jordan, that I don't think we can be sued. But
okay, all right.
I'm kidding. Enough. I'm being an ass. Anyway, but no, it's like, damn. And so these two dudes are very intense, and that's why I love Peckinpah villains.
God, man.
The guys in a suit, they're clean shaven. They're businessmen, and they're out to execute. That's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So they're asking Benny, have you seen Alfredo Garcia? He's like, Alfredo Garcia? Who wants him, kind of thing? And they're like, So they put $5 in his, which is big money back then, especially in Mexico, I guess.
They say, we're looking for an old compadre, a man named Alfredo Garcia. Is he a friend of yours?
And you can tell these guys don't know Alfredo Garcia. These guys aren't in this clique.
They walk in looking whitey white and gringo and all. I mean, literally,
And I love it because once they smack the bar girl, everyone just starts getting up and leaving very discreetly, just like a saloonish, like you said, like a Western. Everyone's like, I'm out of here. It's
like the second time, too, the movie just grabs you by the throat again all of a sudden. You're like, ouch, whoa, what was that all about? Why? Stop with the kicking, as Kevin Pollak said.
We're 5 minutes in the movie, and we've already seen like a 14-year-old pregnant girl get slapped and then tortured,
slapped, arm broken. Yeah, I mean, just you talk about cruelty towards women in this movie.
And so, anyways, they're like, hey, we're looking for him. Here's the card. Come find us if you think of anything. They give him a little money. He's like, oh, and so Warren Oates asks around. Mm-hmm. And he goes to see his girlfriend, who is played by Alita
Isela
Vega, who is fantastic in this role.
I honestly, I'm not kidding. I love the way she's so beautiful, and I love her singing. Honestly, her singing voice is so beautiful. I'm in love. I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's beautiful, and I think she was a singer, a folk singer in Mexico. So she plays the guitar and all that for real. And
she was a folk singer in Mexico. I didn't know that. That's
she was a singer. I mean,
okay,
and actor. Yeah, completely unknown until this movie outside Mexico.
Interesting.
And really owns the role, like I said. And
she's
Warren
really great.
Oates. Jordan, do you think they have chemistry?
I think they do for the part, for the way the movie is and for the way his character is. I mean, his character, I guess, is kind of like Sam Peckinpah anyway, right? A little bit. The way he delivers his lines even is very, even though, it's Warren Oates, it sounds just like Peckinpah. When you hear Peckinpah, the way he talked in interviews, that grovelly.
This movie is Sam Peckinpah's male fantasy.
Yeah, and oddly, I'm going to say it's a personal film for Sam Peckinpah, I think, in a weird way. I don't think even he could explain that why it was a personal film, but I think it's oddly a personal film for him, almost in the same way like Scorsese said Vertigo was a personal film for Hitchcock in a way. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's other films that have themes.
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to digress there. As far as chemistry goes between Acela Vega and Warren Oates, you don't think they have chemistry or no?
No, I think they do, but I think you're right. It's very contained in this story for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to think more of it. We have other things to talk about. But yeah, I think it works. It's weird because Warren Oates is an older guy at this point, and she's a bit older. So here's this is weird. This is a weird thought, so bear with me. But I was thinking like this movie rings of Jackie Brown, because Jackie Brown, Tarantino's Jackie Brown, was about people getting older and kind of taking a last shot. Like their lives have been going a certain way, and then they're going to try to change it radically by doing something and some criminal shit. And that is what this movie reminds me of, because Warren Oates is an older guy. He's down on his luck, and he's got the rest of his life to look forward to, like playing piano in a bar. He's
in his early 40s at this point, I guess.
He's in his
both
40s.
The character and Warren Oates basically in his early 40s, and what early 40s looks like back in 1974 at least. Also,
she's not young either, and she's a maid, I guess, but she's really more of, I guess, a prostitute in this hotel. I don't know how else to say it. She's a lady.
Is that her role? I couldn't figure out her role there. Yeah, like because she's singing when we first meet her to this crowd of people.
Yeah, again, Peckinpah is very subtle in these things, almost to a fault at times. But the impression I get is that she was keeping the company of men, because she seems to be very familiar with men.
Yeah.
Throughout the film. But I think she plays a strong woman as much as she can in the script.
Yeah.
Again, these are the hookers with the heart of gold. Sam Peckinpah's women are strong women behind flawed men. Does that make sense? And she is very much that, because she is like a hooker, but they're very much in love. And he goes to her. Because Alfredo Garcia knows everybody. They're all buddies. And so he's like, have you seen Alfredo? And then she's like, yeah, I saw him. And funny thing, Jordan, what happened to Alfredo Garcia?
He died?
He died.
He's dead.
In a car wreck. Tragically drunk. Died in a car wreck.
Yeah.
Movie over. We can all go home. We know what happened to Alfredo Garcia. No, that's not at all what happens.
No.
Doesn't matter. Alfredo Garcia is dead. This movie's still going to happen.
His body is somewhere. Yeah. They need his head, folks. They want his head still. And that's what this movie revolves around, is his beheaded head.
Which isn't beheaded yet. But
it's not beheaded yet, no.
Alita doesn't know this.
That came out wrong.
He doesn't tell her this. He's just like, where's Alfredo Garcia? There's some guys looking for him. I can get some money out of this. And he finds out that Alita actually was like, those few days last week when you said you had a cold, she was with Alfredo Garcia. He was professing his love to her. And then he had to he was saying goodbye to her. So they dated. So we have this weird love triangle, Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Powerful.
Yeah. Between Benny, a dead guy, and Alita. It's very weird.
It's weird.
It's
once again, it adds to the whole movie's macabre sense as well. The whole movie's macabre when you really get to it.
We're talking about a dead man.
And Clive Barker once called this movie one of his favorite horror films. Did you know that?
Really? I did not know that. Wow.
He was talking in the same sort of sense that, like, Fellini said that he felt like movies from the past were like science fiction because it was the filmmaker speculating on what it was. So he would consider odd movies to be science fiction. But it was Clive Barker was quoting somebody else as saying, it's the same thing as saying Taxi Driver is more science fiction than Blade Runner, though. I think David Cronenberg said that. Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia is, I think, Sam Peckinpah's horror film at the same time, honestly, whether he likes it or not.
Well, I would say Alfredo Garcia's ghost haunts this film as well, jokingly.
It's full of shocking moments that are horrific.
It's all about a dead body, man.
It's got suspense that's very unnerving, very uncomfortable at times.
It's like Sam Peckinpah's Weekend at Bernie's, kind of.
I get
Weekend at Alfredo Garcia's.
Oh, you went there. I
went there. So anyway, we have this love triangle between
Wait. I want to talk more about this Weekend at Bernie. I want Jonathan Silverman and Andrew McCarthy to show up in the movie now.
Oh man.
Go, hey, we're looking for Alfredo too. He's our boss,
Yeah. And then they just get gunned down bloodily.
Then they die quickly. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Where are we in the movie?
That'd be so funny. They're trying to keep Alfredo Garcia's head. Like all you can see is his head. So it's always like a dummy in the body and something draped over him. Like he's cold. Whoops, his head falls off and then nobody sees that and they have to put his head back on, but they put it on backward.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this movie.
But yeah. Okay. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So Benny finds out from Alita, she's like, oh, you loved him and all this. And we have that love triangle there, which will carry on throughout the film.
Yeah.
She's like, Alfredo Garcia's dead. So War Notes' character, Benny, goes up to the hotel. And this is a cool hotel, by the way. This cool hotel room. I don't know. It's wood paneling and it's really cool. I was just like, man, that's cool. So he goes and he tells these villains, we meet another villain, like another big boss. And his accountant, the guy who I think is an accountant or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's above the two I forgot the two characters' names once again. Yeah, the two guys that we already met in the bar that hired Benny, basically.
Yeah. And these guys are good actors. All of these guys have done a bunch in the way back when days.
I might be totally wrong about this little bit of trivia, but I think the guy playing the accountant or something is one of the associate producers of the movie that they hired at the last minute.
Yeah,
just because he looked the part.
Yeah. Martin,
because he doesn't come off like, I think, I think he's one of the producers. Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, he looks like an accountant. Yeah, exactly. A mob accountant.
And I think it was last minute casting decision, something like that. Just out of necessity, maybe. But he looked the part too, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, fun trivia fact.
Yeah, I like that because he calls him a loser, and War Note says nobody loses all the time.
Hey there, Benny. Yeah. That's how he talks. He's always, hey there, Benny.
All these guys are a bit fey, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Possibly homosexual. It's really weird.
I think these guys are Sam Peckinpah making fun of studio executives at the time. That's in his mind, probably.
Hey, you're probably right.
Honestly, that's him taking it out like on them, I guess. They look just like the guys I work for.
Yeah, that's why he fled down to Mexico. So
I can hear it.
Deal with those guys. And yeah, you're right. I never thought about that. He's probably lampooning them with these big boss villains.
Side note, by all accounts, though, UA gave him free reign. UA was really nice to Sam Peckinpah in this movie. They didn't believe a word he said about anything, but they let him have his way completely. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
So no. I mean, this is probably the film he had the most control over. So we have to
absolutely.
We have to look at it as like his vision realized, and there's a director's cut somewhere or pre-screening that we can lean on. This is it.
There's an interview on Easy Riders Raging Bulls, a documentary with David Picker, the head of UA, where he says Sam Peckinpah came to me, pitched me, bring me that about Alfredo Garcia. I didn't believe a word he said. He told me he's going to go to Mexico to shoot him. I just gave him the money and left him alone, honestly.
Yeah.
He said, but we did that with a lot of filmmakers back then. So, yeah, he was just lucky.
So we know, the audience knows that Alfredo Garcia's head is worth $1 million, but they offer Benny $10,000 to give them some proof, in quotes.
Yeah. A measly $10,000.
Yeah. Which is still a lot of money. It's probably $50,000-$60,000 in today's money, so it's not...
Of course. I'm being sarcastic, of course.
No, but I mean, compared to $1 million, oh my God, that's insulting.
Yeah, compared to $1 million, shit. I hope he doesn't have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, they give him 4 days to find him. And they're like, and if you don't, we're going to start looking for you.
Yeah.
And so Alita is with Benny in his apartment, and they have some tender scenes. He's like,
yes,
let's go on a picnic, he says. Let's go on a little picnic, you and me.
Oh, that's right. He wakes her up from after a night of, they've been drinking and having sex, I guess, and she's really hungover. And yeah, he's like, let's go on a picnic. Get dressed.
Get damn dressed. Let's go on a goddamn picnic. Anyways.
Better get well dressed. That's the thing, too. You can't tell when Warren Oates' character is like being sarcastic or funny a lot of times, honestly, by the tone of his voice. Because if you talk like that now, I couldn't talk like that to my wife. Like, oh, man. My wife would stop and go, what? Excuse me? What'd you just say?
And their relationship borders on like just physical abuse half the time. Like he's
grabbing
her, slapping her around, but she's like one of these girls that's into that sort of. I don't know if that makes it okay.
They play it in the movie like, you can almost hear the wah wah in the background.
Yeah, so for modern audiences, maybe it's kind of hard to gauge or to really feel sympathy and see their relationship really come together.
Yeah. I mean, if I walked into the bedroom and said to my wife, get dressed, we're going on a long picnic, honey, how do you think she's going to react to that?
She'd be like, finally, you're taking me somewhere, Jordan.
True. That's probably true, actually. Yes.
No, but yeah, you're right. She would she would punch you in the face like a man.
Yeah.
I know your wife.
She'd ask me if I was kidding the way I said it. And I'd be like, oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you another opportunity to say that again.
Exactly. Exactly. Most modern women would. That's the thing. Anyway.
Peckinpah's men are different. They can get away with stuff like that.
Yes.
And so there's a scene where she falls off the bed backward, and it was like brilliant stunt work, or it meant to happen. And I think she was drunk, so she didn't get hurt. It's a weird scene. You know what I'm talking about?
Can we talk about that for a second? I don't mean to sidetrack again. I think there was a lot of alcohol in this movie flowing.
There are scenes where people seem drunk. You're right.
I think there was a lot of cocaine on this movie amongst everybody. For real.
Yeah.
I think this production reeks of tequila and cocaine.
Yeah, no shit.
I can smell it from the screen. I can smell the tequila from the screen, and I can just, you can see the white powder at the edge of the screen even.
It's soaked in tequila, and yeah.
I think there's one point you see little white powder spots on the lens of the camera. No, I just made that up. I'm sorry. I mean, yeah, it's 1974. It's already in vogue, I think, at this point.
Yeah. So anyways, they go on this picnic, and Warren Oates' beat up ass 62, whatever, 63 Impala. People always want to know.
Yeah, it's an awesome car. Yeah.
Movies.
Good muscle car. No.
Yeah, but every car in this movie is beat up comically.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of station wagons in this film. It's very station wagon heavy as well. There's not a movie with sports cars,
Every car looks very well used, very well loved and used, I guess. Loved is putting it lightly.
It's like the minute a used car goes to Mexico, people just hit it with sledgehammers. Just spank the shit out of it. Anyway.
It is weird. Yeah. It really paints a picture for you, doesn't it? It just kind of, I guess, I mean, was Mexico really like it? Is it parts of Mexico really like that in that time period, I guess? I guess so.
I think Peckinpah's Mexico is like a Western. It's a violent place. It's all of that.
That's exactly the thing too. This is Sam Peckinpah's Mexico, I guess, more.
Yeah. It's a Star Wars lived-in universe. It's like Tatooine.
Yeah. And that's another good point. It's like another planet almost, Anyway.
So anyway, they're driving, and he just shoots. He just pulls a gun out and starts shooting at these turkeys. And she's laughing, and they almost get in a wreck. And nobody seems to care in Mexico when you just shoot guns off. They're like, nobody's like, holy crap, who's that dude shooting guns?
Yeah, he shoots the gun up into the air too, and that's the thing too. You're not really supposed to do that with a gun in reality. It's not a good idea usually because that bullet still has to come back down really fast.
Yeah, and that was a weird thing with the character because the character just seemed very drunk, and so now we know they're drunk. He's drunk and reckless and don't give a shit because he's just shooting guns off everywhere. And
yet the movie's trying to tell us, like, look, he's having a good time. It's okay.
It's just how people.
It's okay that he's acting like a frat boy with a gun about to, this side of taking a baseball bat to a mailbox. Yeah,
I mean, you lose a little sympathy because it's a weird thing, and you're trying to build attachment to the character at this point. And you're like, wait a minute, this guy's a psychopath.
Mr. fucking anti-hero over here again.
And Benny is an anti-hero. Boy, oh boy, if there ever is an anti-hero.
And Sam Peckinpah's never-ending world of men and anti-heroes.
And so they are out having a picnic, and they're having a very tender moment.
Yeah.
And it's a very sort of touching scene where, like I said, Jackie Brown-ish. You have two older people, and she wants to get married.
I like the way it's shot. I really do.
Yeah.
I like the way it looks. The cinematography in that scene looks kind of interesting. It looks like they're taking advantage of some local landscape scenery perfectly in the scene. I'll give it that. I'll give the moment that too.
Yeah, it seems very real, and he pretty much professes his love to her as well as he can. And they promise to get married. And basically the thing is Alfredo Garcia told her that he loved her, and then he never did, sort of. So now he's like, you know what? We're going to get this money, and then we're going to settle down. We're going to get married. And it's a very touching scene.
Let me just come in here with a song. Don't you remember you told me you love me, Alfredo? Sorry. Anyway.
You just love Alfredo Garcia. Even when he's not there, he's there. And so Benny says, I need proof of Alfredo's death. He doesn't say why, and he doesn't say how.
That's right. Yeah. I need proof of Alfredo's death.
There's a lot of guys who want some money. And Warren Oates just mugging up the screen is Warren Oates fashion. He's like, it's Alfredo. I mean, they have enough chemistry. I believe them together, but
and also, by the way, I was just going to add, when he says proof of death, he doesn't mean like the Seinfeld episode where George had to provide a Polaroid or some of the actual death to get a discount on an airline ticket. No, it's not like that kind of thing.
It's very medieval. It's very biblical. It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, bring me a part of his body. Like, wow.
Right. I mean, like, yeah, is he fucking John the Baptist here? You know, it's like, yeah.
And so
you're right.
They go camping, and who shows up while they're camping, Jordan?
Oh, you're talking about
No,
Christopherson?
Christopherson, yeah.
Chris Christopherson shows up with his friend who looks like somebody else I recognize. I forgot.
Yeah.
Who's the guy with him?
Well, he looks like
I thought he was in the band.
Yeah, no, he was in the band. Yeah, exactly. One of the guys in the band.
The band, though, with Robbie Robertson and
he looks like a session musician because he is.
Folks out there, list goes on.
Yeah, he was Chris Christopherson's keyboardist for 40 years, according to Donnie Frick's Wikipedia. And he was inducted into the Alabama Musical Hall of Fame in 2008. So they got that going for him.
Wow. Okay, so Christopherson shows up.
Oh boy,
him and this guy are bikers, basically, just kind of road hog guys, just outlaws, basically, I guess, in Mexico, living it up, running around, I guess, raping and pillaging, basically. We don't get that right away, but yeah, they walk in creepily.
They just walk in and say, "Hey, nice fire.
Nice fire. Mind if we join? Nice fire. Mind if we join you? Can you play this one song for me, please? Play A Star Is Born." No.
Yeah, exactly. You play me and Bobby McGee.
Play Superstar by the Carpenters, please. No, he asked her to play some song in Spanish, which sounds really beautiful, but it gets really tense.
The whole scene is very tense because these guys are very threatening.
And this starts to be another oh shit moment in this movie. Once again, it really grabs you by the throat like a horror film. I'm sorry, I don't mean to shake while I'm talking about it, but dang, man, it is
Yeah, so basically they pull guns, and of course Benny's not about this, but what's he going to do? There's two of them. He's going to see where this goes. So they pull guns, and they say basically we're going to go rape her. And you're like, pretty much, fuck.
He takes his guitar. The other guy takes the guitar. He has a gun on Benny, right? Yeah. Christopherson walks off with Elita. She says, "I've been down this road before, Benny. Let me handle this more or less," which really just makes it like worse, in my opinion, somehow. Because you're like, what? You don't know what's going to happen. And you're like, oh, fuck. What does that mean? Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And then they go behind some rocks, and they have this weird interchange where like she slaps him twice and he slaps her, and then he wanders off and looks like a hurt little puppy dog.
Yeah, this is where it gets weird. And then she puts the move back on him, I guess, because is she trying to take control of the situation? I don't know what's going on. I'm confused here, folks.
I know it's like he looked vulnerable to her for some reason, and now she wants to get it on with him. And you're just like, this is very like Straw Dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I wonder too, did she know, was she giving in knowing that he would do that? Was that it? Or give her credit?
They're playing some sort of game that only those two characters know. And I'm not sure the film is telling us, but there is something going on there. But
the thing is, Sam Peckinpah, I'm going to say it. Yeah, Sam Peckinpah, as we've established, obviously very harsh towards women in the world of his movies, especially. I mean, he obviously had to put it lightly, old-fashioned thinking towards women in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the other unnerving thing about this scene is you say Straw Dogs, it goes back to Straw Dogs again, where the woman gives in, and then he makes it look like she likes it in that movie, and that's unnerving. I think it really bothers me that he did it like that. Honestly,
it doesn't fit with modern sensibilities for sure.
No, it doesn't. If anything gets under my skin with this movie in a modern sensibility, that does definitely get under my skin. It's a fascinating movie, yes, but
you lose sympathy for her because now you're like, well, she's just. I mean, because at that point she moves to him and they start kissing. It's not rape. Yeah. They're making out, and then Benny knocks the other guy in the head, and then grabs his gun and runs up and sees.
He finds him like this. Yeah, he finds him, making out basically. And of course, we cut to them driving away finally after he shoots him. He shoots Christopherson.
He shoots both of the guys and kills them.
Dead bang. Yeah.
Benny kills many people in this film. Okay.
Yeah. without mercy.
You don't think about it, but Benny kills a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
These are the first two people that I think that he's killed at this point.
But I love the way he dresses.
Oh, he's sharp dresser. You like Benny. That's the thing, is you like him.
That's the weird thing about him. He's not a good guy, but you like him for some reason. That's the weird part about it, man.
It's his story.
So yeah, we cut to after he shot him, we're in the car on the run, and Benny's going, God damn it, I'll be goddamn how
He's really
That's all
pissed.
I remember.
Well, because he knows she's a prostitute and he's fallen in love with a prostitute, and he's still pissed about Alfredo Garcia now this. And
yeah, but then she brings up the fact that she's already, I guess, gathering that he wants something weird off of Alfredo.
Yeah, that's when he says, he's like, I need some sort of proof, like his head.
Yeah. And
she's like, obviously, oh my fucking God. Like, that's insane. Yeah. And plus she loved Alfredo too. And so
just a heavy topping of extra scoop of oh shit on top of the last oh shit moment, by the way. So we have an extra scoop of oh shit now,
Oh, there's a bucket of emotions that's got like just scoops of oh shit floating in it. This is a very emotionally complex film.
I hope kids are not listening right now.
And I love the dialogue. It's like, he's like, well, Alfredo's the saint of our money, just like all these great war notes.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a lot of war
lines.
Notes, singers.
War notes, just like there's so much dialogue in this movie. Like almost every line war notes says in this film, you could put on a t-shirt, And
she tells him, I'm gonna go to you. I'm gonna take you to him, but then I'm gonna leave you. Basically, she's telling him it's wrong morally, though. It's ethically, morally, religiously wrong on every level. It's desecrating a grave, all that,
Yeah.
And of course, yeah. But Benny's very existentialist, obviously, very atheist.
Yeah, he's like, well, look, Alfredo, and then he starts kind of manipulating her. Then he's like, well, Alfredo would have wanted you to have a good life, right? It's cutting off his head gives you like a good life, and we can be rich, do what we want. And she's kind of buying into that.
It's like if you took the movie Indecent Proposal and Woody Harrelson said to Demi Moore, like, well, Robert Redford would want you to have a good life,
Yeah, exactly.
So sleep with him.
There's mind games going on because Benny is not a smart guy, but he's also not a dumb guy. He's kind of like street smart in a way. He does some dumb things, but he certainly knows what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. But he's tough at the same time, I guess that's what it is.
He's really, a little skinny dude, but he's kind of like tough. He doesn't fuck around.
Yeah, he's very sturdy because we found out that he was in the war too at one point, I think. So.
Yeah, he was in the military, and I guess that explains a lot of why he's so good with the gun and things like that.
Yeah,
and why bullets,
he says that after the gun.
Why bullets don't seem to hit him in this movie? Maybe he's got plot armor all over the place for sure. But there's some touching scenes like there. I didn't make that up. Whatever that's from, but. Later on in the hotel room, she's crying in the shower, and he gets into the shower with her, because he understands that this is a burden. There's some tenderness, and as gritty as this film is, Peckinpah is trying to paint a relationship in the middle part of this movie.
I don't know. I tried to tell my wife I loved her, just like war notes in that scene once. It didn't come off well. I walked in when she was taking a shower. I went, I love you. And she went, okay, leave now. Thank you.
Yeah. You got in the shower with your clothes on. She was like, this is weird.
She's like, what are you doing? Exactly.
And so anyway, they go to Alfredo Garcia's resting place. And it turns out that Alfredo Garcia's funeral is happening and all his family are there.
Yeah. And it's a tiny little service going on. It's about the size of the service in Plan 9 from Outer Space at the beginning of the movie. But yeah. And it's in a tiny cute little Mexican cemetery. I'm sorry, Anthony. I thought the cemetery was adorable. Just gonna say.
There's a nice flower arrangement.
I love the flower arrangement next to Alfredo's grave, that big heart shape. I just love it. Sorry, got to do the Paul Lynde voice for no reason.
And so Alfredo's mother looks like just an old Mexican lady who's wearing all black, and she just looks like an old Mexican lady. Whoever that she
literally looks like like you can see the Da Vinci Last Supper painting in her kitchen. You don't even have to be there, She's kind of cliched looking, yes.
just old school.
Yeah.
And these people look like villagers. They don't really look like actors. No offense to these actors, but they look like
occasionally,
we're standing around. It's like, you over here, hold a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he used a lot of local people.
I think he chose the roughest spots to film in. Probably that's what it was too.
Yeah.
You know.
And so Alfredo's mother doesn't want any part of them, and she says some very unkind things to Elisa. And then he's like, "What is she? You know, what's she saying?" He's like, "They don't want us to be here." And so
they would like us to leave. Yeah, exactly. Right. I think she would like us to leave, something like that.
Yeah. And so
it's a very cold moment. You actually feel the awkwardness of the scene.
Yeah. What if two random people showed up in this? I mean, it's obviously only family.
It was weird though. I, as the audience, when I was watching it last night, full blown on my wall in my living room in high def. I'm boasting. Man, it was like I felt like I walked into a funeral service I wasn't supposed to be at. Like I was trespassing.
Yeah. There are times
I'm gonna talk about my new projector.
Yeah, and you do feel like a voyeur. It's real weird.
Yeah. So it gets even weirder. Yeah, it's gonna get even weirder here, of course.
Later on. Machete he bought is put into play. He drags Elisa, however you say her name, to this graveyard, and he takes that machete. He starts digging. He takes that machete and he pulls open the coffin. He's about to hack Alfredo's corpse's head off. And
freshly buried.
And if you notice, you don't see Alfredo's face. It's covered.
That's right. Yeah.
So we don't even see Alfredo's face in death. We don't even see his corpse.
I wonder if that was calculated too, because
it has to be.
Or was Sam Peckinpah like, I don't think people will buy it if we do it as an effect? Was it because of that reason, or was it calculated to make it more mysterious and add to the whole mystery of the movie, the enigmatic quality of the movie?
You could see his face if this little piece of lace wasn't, hanging
down.
down.
I noticed you see like his chin and a little bit of his chin and jaw and a 5 o'clock shadow over.
That's it.
But that's about it. Yeah.
But I think it's completely intentional, just to keep the illusion of Alfredo Garcia.
Man, it just makes it that much creepier too, I guess, right?
Yeah. And what's really creepy is right as he's about to cut Alfredo Garcia's head off with this really wicked looking machete, somebody smacks him in the head with a shovel. And Jordan, damn it, what happens next?
Oh, this is where it becomes more like a horror film, really. Poor Benny wakes up covered in dirt, like he's been buried alive in a shallow grave, 12 inches of dirt, but still. And he wakes up next to Elita. He's slapping her around, telling her to snap out of it. We figure out she's dead, sadly. She's probably been hit over the head. Looks like she's been hit over the head probably too. Same shovel. It killed her though for some reason. Didn't kill Benny. And then, he's like laying there next to her basically, and she's dead. And of course, it's really sad and really just creepy and all that horrific and, all that.
He doesn't realize she's dead at first. And then
that's the creepy part too. Yeah. He doesn't
realize. He's like, wake up, damn it. He's slapping her and she's not waking up and she's half buried.
I think we should give props to the actress Isela Vega once again here. I mean, she played a corpse so well in this scene, played a dead person so well. Yeah. And the fact that she let them cover her with dirt like that and make her look roughed up like that.
It's hard to play a corpse like that,
yeah.
Especially when he's flinging her around like a dead body, literally. Like he's throwing her around like a sack of potatoes. It's not like it's easy to play a dead body if you're just laying on a table.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you got to give props to that actress, man. Tough woman there.
Yeah, a very physical performance for a dead body, And he's flinging her around. It's sad. She's very limp. And then he kind of goes crazy a little bit. Like he logically knows she's dead, but then he's just like, fine, stay with him, because it's Alfredo's grave. And so she's like,
almost like
go
he's
ahead.
Blaming her.
Yeah. And it's
almost like it's her fault,
It's that's as close as Peckinpah gets to a tender emotional moment, but it's super complex, and I think it's probably one of Warren Oates' standout moments of acting in all his films.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah. I mean, Warren Oates, don't get me wrong. I mean, Warren Oates really is great in this whole movie and overall. I mean, he was great in everything, I think, honestly, that he did, but I think he's really great in this movie.
You don't get to see tragic grief from Warren Oates very often. I think they could have let the scene go on a few more minutes, honestly. Why not?
Yeah, I wish they'd let him express more emotion in the movie. I wonder if Warren Oates and Peckinpah argued about that kind of thing. Or
it seemed like he had a few more lines and then they cut kind of abruptly from that scene where you could.
Yeah, Peckinpah was like, "Cut! I told you not to cry. God damn it!"
Cut! Let's do it again. Oh, Warren Oates is going all the way. He's got dirt in his mouth. He's going all the way, and it's a really good scene.
Yeah.
But then he realizes that Alfredo's head is gone. And there were these guys in this green station wagon that he noticed a few times that were following him.
Yeah, they're also on the same trail, and they're completely separate from the other two guys. They're like local goons there in Mexico.
Yeah, and they want Alfredo's head too. And so they were presumably the ones that did this. And so Benny finds out, which way did they go? They went this way. And then like Alfredo's family catches up with him the next morning, and they're like, oh, hey, what's up with that? And he's just, pulls a gun on him, says, get out of here,
Yeah. Wait, we got to talk about that moment for a minute. Yeah. Because they jump him. They come after him for the head, thinking he has the head. That's what it is, right? I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then, he turns the gun on them, and at gunpoint tells them go away. And I love the way this is Warren Oates in his element here. Warren Oates saying, don't look at me with your fucking eyes.
Yeah, no, that's right. Out of here, you motherfucker. And it was just like,
he goes, the scene starts, he goes, get back, don't look at me with your fucking eyes, damn it. Something like that. It's like
it's kind of, Warren Oates just almost has a comedic element to him sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I love that moment. I kind of laugh on that moment every time I've watched the movie. I think I've watched this movie this is not the first time me watching this movie either. This is probably the fifth, sixth, seventh time I've watched it, maybe. I don't know.
It's been a while, and then that's why it's weird, because I think things were bothering me. And it's a movie of its time. You can't, but there were certain things that bothered me that didn't before.
Well, same here too. I hadn't watched this movie, honestly, and I don't know how long. It's been years, honestly, since I sat down to give it attention. Maybe since we were roommates, even. That was maybe the last time I watched it, honestly.
Yeah. But anyways, what happens next is very important, because he catches up with these dudes, and their tire is flat and they're fixing it, and he just rolls up like a fucking boss, hits the car, and just kills these dudes.
He's a badass in the scene, almost. Yeah.
And then he grabs the head, and then this is when this movie it changes from a heist movie or crime thriller into a cross-country road trip of discovery with the disembodied head, a buddy film with a disembodied head.
But yeah, that's a funny way to put it. I'm sorry, I'm losing it now, but
because Alfredo Garcia becomes a character again in this film as a fucking head. It's weird. Yeah.
But it gets really psychological too, in my opinion. Like, it gets even more like a horror film. And also, we have to mention that the head when he grabs the head's not like, the head's in like this, it's like a potato sack or a cheesecloth. It's a cheesecloth, I think.
It's a sack, and you really don't even see the disembodied head again.
Yeah, you see the hair sometimes a little bit, but barely anything exactly.
You don't see the dead face. I don't think Peckinpah wants to ruin that picture of Alfredo Garcia for you by showing his dead, bloated face. I don't think he wants to do that, because that creates an interesting emotion. It's not a head in a sack. It's Alfredo Garcia, as far as we know, because we've never seen the body. In a way, we've seen the body, but
I wonder too if he did it that way because if he worried about the effect coming off cartoonish, if he did it wrong too, if he actually had a latex head.
I don't know.
You might do tricks, with the actor's actual head in a box kind of thing.
They didn't. They could have tried that, but they didn't do anything close to that.
But yeah, it's interesting. Peckinpah makes it like the MacGuffin in the beginning of the movie mostly.
Yeah.
And then the MacGuffin becomes a character. Yeah, like you're saying, basically. And yeah, so we're on a cross-country trip. He's tugging on a bottle of tequila again. Benny, Warren Oates, yeah.
He's talking to the head. It's like Wilson from Castaway. It's like, it's his best buddy, But it's weird because this disembodied head fucked your fucking girlfriend. So
gotta say it like Warren Oates. Wilson. God damn it, Wilson.
God damn it, Wilson. Quit looking at me with your fucking eyes, Wilson.
You fucking left me, Wilson. How dare you?
It's a very small part of the movie, but it's just a very interesting piece when he's just talking to this head. And
small part. It goes on about 3-5 minutes, I think, at least. Yeah, he's in the car. Yeah.
The head rolls over onto him.
At first, he's talking all like he's angry at the head. Alfredo, yeah. she's getting the best part of you right now, isn't she, Alfredo? Here, have a drink, Alfredo. And he pours tequila on the head, like, ceremoniously, non-ceremoniously, I don't know. And then, just keeps talking to him. And then when he gets out, when he stops, I think to get ice for the head at this one stop, I'm not skipping ahead.
No, that's it. And this little kid, he's eating at this. Bornose Spanish is terrible. It's for a person who's lived in Mexico so long. He's like, "Dos cervezas, señorita."
I think the movie invented the Spanglish. Yeah, I mean, his Spanish is almost like mine with some people, honestly. But no, I was gonna say, when he gets out of the car, then he gets serious and he gets apologetic towards Alfredo's head.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not all your fault, Alfredo.
Because you can't hate Alfredo, not even his head. You can't even you can't hate Alfredo. You're like, oh, well, Alfredo's
look
gonna
at that
Alfredo.
Smile, that perfect teeth in the photo, and look at that perfect disembodied head.
Well, Alfredo was his friend. I mean, the emotions here are quite complex. He's your buddy.
Yeah.
He screwed the woman you love, but he told her he loved her when you wouldn't. So, but then you know that she wanted to be with you, but then now he's dead. And you're glad he's dead. Well, no, you're not glad he's dead because he's your friend, but he's a son of a bitch. But now you can get money from his head. So it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's an insane fucking plot.
That's the other thing, too. Benny being such a mercenary type of character. He is more than a mercenary, basically.
Oh, he's out for broke. How many people has he killed so far? 4?
Yeah.
What's the body count up?
I mean, you talk about a desperate mercenary too, just all of it.
Like he probably did some shit in the army and then that's why he's in Mexico just drinking himself to death. And the only relationship he can have is with more or less a prostitute. And he can't even, I mean, this is like a mirror of Peckinpah's emotions probably,
Can you imagine like a prequel to Bring Me That Up, Alfredo Garcia?
I was thinking the same thing, Jordan.
You got the backstory. Oh man, I didn't know that. No, I just thought of that just now. Wow, I must be psychically seeing your notes over there.
No, but I thought the same thing. Just wouldn't that be a cool sequel? It's just Benny and Alfredo on some other adventure prior, and then but then you see the Headless Horseman, right? That's the problem.
Yeah.
I always a bitch about Sleepy Hollows because you see the Headless Horseman's face. You like Alfredo so much that you want to see more of him and not just as a head in a bag. So that is tempting, but it would. I mean, know. It's an interesting idea.
Clint Eastwood did, talked about Obama and did a scene with a whole chair. So it's like this movie. They do a lot of stuff with a disembodied head. You're right.
But that's the most interesting part of the film, I think, where he's talking to the head and he's really using the head as a sounding board for his own emotions, his own mindset. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's just talking to himself, basically.
It's crazy.
It's him talking to his inner demon, if you wanted to analyze it deeper, I guess. Yeah, right.
But am I crazy? You're right. The head in the bag is the character in the movie, and I've never seen that before. I'm sure there's things like that.
It's like the MacGuffin became the main character, right? Once again.
Yeah.
Because the head was the MacGuffin of this movie to begin with and through the first half. But then it's not about the head so much anymore,
Yeah, so then we go, and I just feel bad for so many people in this movie because, so Benny gets ambushed by Alfredo's family, and they're just small town folk, and you could just tell they would borrow guns and rifles and shotguns. They're not like bad people, and if you think about it from their point of view, somebody decapitated their son, father, brothers, cousins' head for money.
I thought about that watching the scene. I thought, oh my God, well, you can't blame her. That's her baby boy. You can't blame the mother there for being there with her goon sons or whatever with their guns. They're after her baby boy's head. So yeah, it's bizarre, man.
And then they're like to him, it's like, you did this for money?
Yeah. You did this for money, the deal.
He's like, God damn it. Yeah. And he's like, here's my $200. I got it for spending money here. And let me just take the head. And anyway, then what happens, Jordan? They've all got guns on him. Deus ex machina, your favorite word, occurs.
Yeah. Randomly, a bus shows up, and then two guys.
No, hold on a second. No, that's funny. A tourist bus comes by and they're all like, they've all got guns, and then they're all just like, they put the guns to their side and they're all just waving at these tourists. Like,
yeah,
I thought that was funny.
Then a station wagon shows up with the two guys that we met first in the movie that were looking for the compadre, Alfredo Garcia. It becomes a moment here, a scene that's tense because you know who they are as the audience already.
Yeah.
And Benny recognizes them too. And they get out of the car with the map. One of the guys, his arm is in a sling. And then, they ask him, they say that they're lost. And Benny says, yeah, you found the exit. There's a cutoff here, but you're going to have to take it. It's like code language between them.
It's like, yeah, it's here, but you're going to have to take it. Oh, it's here. We're going to have to take it. Wink.
Oh, and then just the two guys whip out guns. The family whips out their guns. Oh, and then it's just a big Western style bloodbath happening. Balletic violence, people keeling over in slow motion, a lot of blood, a lot of blood, actually. They used a lot of blood on this movie, gallons of blood on this movie.
Alfredo's family, including his elderly mother, get gunned down in the street.
Mowed down by bullets, literally. Riddled by bullets, folks. In the street. Yeah, even the mother. They show no mercy.
This is a Peckinpah movie. You're like, at this point, there's just nothing but people getting killed everywhere, except for Benny. Benny's impervious to bullets. He's fine.
This movie shows no mercy on a Cobra Kai level, literally. It's relentless here. This is where a lot of editing cuts are happening too in this moment of scene, action sequence. I mean, a lot of cuts if you actually were counting the frames.
But then the dude is like, okay, so one of the guy with the machine gun, this is the gay couple, everybody.
Yeah, the guy with the machine gun and the arm sling gets killed. Yeah, and we find out they were an item, and it's kind of sad. He's what's the guy's name? I forgot, because he realizes he's been shot. His buddy's been shot.
Yeah, one was Quill and one was Sappensley. I think it's Quill, the guy that got shot.
Oh, I think he says Quill, and then Benny shoots him. Because nobody's allowed to love, and nobody's allowed to be in love in Sam Peckinpah's world.
God damn it!
If you fall in love, you're gonna die.
It's like a horror movie. If you're a virgin, you're gonna die. If you try to fall in love in a Sam Peckinpah movie, that person or you are gonna get killed.
Especially in the world of Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, and don't even plan to get married in this world of Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, because that will end in blood probably. Yeah,
because they were gonna get married right after they got the head and the money, and Alita was like, let's get married here and now. Going back to the scene before they go rob the grave.
Oh, yeah.
And really, couples need things to do together, like robbing a grave, things like that, memories together.
I guess we left out earlier. Okay, after they gave Vinny the money, though, I think after they got the head, and they told him, they said, boy, they realized it actually is the head. And I remember he has that great line, boy, you sure have a nose for shit, Vinny.
Yeah, but let's go back to that moment between the two guys. So sort of like the Diamonds Are Forever villains who are gay.
A
lot of times in the history of film, villains are made to be fey or gay or, whatever, because obviously there was a moral condemnation of that. Yeah. There's a little bit of that here. Like, let's make villains gay. But
I feel like that too. Yeah.
God damn it. There is a moment. Peckinpah gives them a moment where this guy is grieving, and I don't see judgment at that moment, Jordan.
I will give them this too. They come off more macho than the way they played gay men back then, which I think was unfair to some gay men back then. I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah, but there isn't that here. It's a weird.
That's the moment. You're right. Where it actually you kind of feel like it's almost like that moment in Blade Runner when Pris dies at the end and Rutger Hauer is going, Pris, like it's almost that same kind of like where you feel like it's touching a bit. Yeah, it's a little touching actually. It's odd for Peckinpah, because it seemed like he was condemning them in the beginning a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the weird part is because these are the bad guys, number one, but then there's this moment and like you really feel bad. And it could have gone on a little longer, but he just lets it happen for a second. Like, did I see what I thought I saw? Yes, you did.
But once again, I'll say that these guys are more masculine playing for gay guys in a movie for back then than you normally saw, which is not a bad thing.
They're just bad guys.
It's a positive thing a little bit. But anyway.
Yeah, they're not wearing cutoff jean shorts, Jordan. No, they're just the guys in suits. And you don't even realize that. You thought you knew. And then this scene happens, but then, that's when Benny's like, hey, am I getting paid here? And the guy in his grief just turns around and is going to kill Benny.
Yeah.
And that's when Benny shoots him. So you got 2 dead bodies. And I think we're at 6 now people that Benny's killed in the last 10 minutes.
And Benny reminds them how many people have died because of Alfredo Garcia's head. And he does.
Yeah, he goes to the hotel next to see their boss, to collect his money basically with Alfredo's head. He goes to the main boss, Max, in the hotel. Max is getting a petty before it was cool. You know, I mean, he's got these girls there.
I wish I could afford a petty more, honestly. I know that I need it sometimes. Yes.
But it's weird. He's just being pampered in this hotel room in a very strange way by these women.
Yeah.
It's all very strange. It's all very confusing. This movie gives you the vibe that, like, if you walked into a gay bar and you didn't know it was a gay bar for the first 10 minutes you were there.
Although it feels like the villain's lair he walks into, nevertheless, though, with everything going on, It's like they gotta have something for the actors to do, of course.
We're paying these guys. We got this nice hotel room.
Give them a pedicure.
So he brings the head back in this basket that Alita used to use to pack their picnics in.
And he reminds them of that as well. Yes.
Yeah, he has a very strong scene where he's just like, her hands used to, great Warren Oates dialogue.
Yeah, Warren Oates is great in this movie still.
Yeah.
And in scene especially, yeah.
And then he's like, how much is this head worth? I want to know. What is this all about? Because again, from his perspective, he's lost his fiance, he's lost a friend in a way, and he's got a head in a bag, and there's all these people that are dead. Like, what is this all about? This is not a normal week for him, even him.
It's a weird thing too, where the movie's trying to take a stand. It's trying to shift its morality or trying to do the right thing all of a sudden. Benny's trying to do the right thing all of a sudden as best he can. It's an odd transition too, of course, but it makes this movie, once again, it adds to this movie's operatic horror.
I'd suggest that the minute Alita died, this became a revenge film. It went from a caper movie to a revenge film at that moment.
Agreed. Yeah, it does exactly. Yeah, it follows the A's and B's and C's and the paint by numbers of a revenge plot at that point. Totally.
Because even though he's got the head and he's trying to get the money, at this moment, we realize that he doesn't really give a damn about the money. He's all about what the hell is going on here. This is definitely an era for revenge flicks. This movie came out in, by the way. Yeah. Can you imagine if it's Rolling Thunder, but Tommy Lee Jones is riding around with William Devane's hand in a bag? Hand or head? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying it's that weird. Man, that sounds. I want to hear that. I want to see that movie now, too. Anyway, so it's a very powerful scene where he's just like, fuck it. This is like the Wild Bunch, he just pulls out this gun and Benny's shooting everybody in the room magically because he's that great. Yeah, it turns into a heavy gunplay, like a Western almost. Yeah, and I think this may be the scene where the guy's like, you're a loser. He's like, not everyone loses all the time. You're a loser, Benny. Yeah. Yeah, so he shoots the main bad guy, Max, and then Max, and this is sloppy editing and sloppy. Yeah. Sloppy everything. He's like, this is a guy you will see, in his last breath. Like, nobody does that. That is one of my quibbles with this film. That little bit was just clumsily handled. It was like, we didn't have the shot. Let's fix it in post with a voiceover. I don't know. It just reeks of that. Yeah, yeah. Then Benny knows where to go. He gets the card. And so this is the most unbelievable thing in this whole movie, Jordan. I'll buy every single other frame of film that happens. Except you don't believe Benny's redemption here? Is that no. I don't believe Benny gets on a plane with the disembodied head that's packed with ice. So next you see a plane, the stock footage of a plane as Benny's going to see wherever El Jefe is on the other side of the country. I forgot about that. Oh my God. Why didn't I put that together in my mind? You're right. Well, I want to see the shot where he's like going through customs or whatever with this. Like, no shit. Are you checking your bags? Yeah. It's like and the head has a lot of flies on it to begin with. So I don't even know. Anyway. Yeah, this is my other passenger. You're not going to put him through that machine. Wait a minute here. You promised me carry-on, 2 carry-ons. Yeah. Carry-on. I'm not putting it through that damn checker. Get back. He pulls a gun at the airport. Telling TSA, get back. The Mexican TSA. That'd be hilarious. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Oh my God. How it's amazing how you solve things in a movie with just one stock footage shot. Yeah, I know. Cut past the pain in the ass of flying, in general. I mean, Yeah, I can't even bring a stick of deodorant on a flight unless it's in a plastic bag. And,
Yeah.
A
They took my
disembodied
hair
head.
gel once, yeah, and they took my baby's formula once, but he gets on a plane with a disembodied head
No more room in this overhead bin.
because he shows up at the spot later on with the same friggin' bag. So yeah, obviously he didn't change the bag any. He didn't add, there's no fresh. Well, obviously, yeah, we'll find out later on that he still had fresh dry ice. So we get to what close to the ending of the movie. We get to back to where the movie began, basically back to the same place where we were in the first part of the movie, the very very beginning of the movie, right? Very location.
So he drives up to El Jefe's ranch here, and the guards in the front are like, "Who the hell are you?"
Yeah, he just hands him the bag, right?
He's just like, "Tell him Alfredo Garcia is here to see him."
That's right. I forgot about this.
I just thought of that, which is just funny on its own. Anyway, so then we go into a very Godfather-like christening, a Mexican Godfather-ish kind of christening. It's just a beauty. I like the traditional Mexican look of everybody. It's just like old school, like it's from the 18th century or something.
Yeah, no, we have a baptism because we see basically the daughter. She's given birth to the baby that Alfredo Garcia impregnated her with. And he's getting christened, I guess. Yeah. So obviously the father still wanted the grandson to live.
I guess maybe that's the weird part. I feel like we're missing a reel in the film here. A lot has happened in this relationship between the father and daughter and the baby. So now he accepts the baby, maybe because it's his son, or maybe they found some other guy to marry her, or something happened here. And now he's all great. He's like, oh yeah, this is my new grandson. Nothing can make this day terrible.
Yeah, I agree. It's like we missed the scene where he said, you know what? This boy will redeem me. My grandson will redeem me. I'm so proud. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We missed all that. It's like we missed that one reel, and suddenly everything's okay with him. The evil father that broke his own daughter's arm.
Yeah.
Why hasn't she tried to run away yet, by the way?
I know. So, and then Benny shows up on the day of my grandson's christening with a head in a sack or a picnic basket.
Yeah.
Boo-boo.
And the fuck up thing is the father, it just makes it that much more momentous for him. The fact that he gets the head and the christening in the same friggin' day. It's like a Christmas gift for him all of a sudden.
Yeah. So Mapache literally has the baby in his arms. He walks into his office where the movie began, and War notes he's got this great scene where he just starts reaching in the bag and throwing blocks of dry ice out onto his desk.
I love the way he does that. That was a great acting moment. Just to add to what you're saying.
And so it's just this intense scene where he's just like, yeah, here's the head. And the guy barely looks at the head. He's got a grandson now. He's like, yeah, whatever. $1 million freaking dollars. And he just gives him this briefcase. And Warren Nuts doesn't know that the head is worth $1 million. He just opens it up and is like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And this is the weird part. Here's a bunch of money, but he's not there for money, Jordan. He's there. Why?
He is there basically because, well, why is he there? I mean, he wants to still keep the head. What is he really there? Is he there he's there to help the daughter, I guess, basically. Yeah.
Well, actually, okay, so he's just pissed off because like his fiance and all these people have died and he doesn't know what this is all about. And then he gets this briefcase of money in front of him. So he's like super conflicted, but he doesn't give a damn. He just pulls a gun on Mapache. He's like, I want answers. What's going on here? And then this daughter is like, kill him.
Oh, that's right. Because he doesn't know why the head's worth so much. That's what it is. He doesn't know, I guess, that Alfredo got this girl knocked up. I guess that's what's going on here. He doesn't know what the value of the head is. And it's just now finding out what the value of the head is, I guess.
Yeah, because he's like 13 people are dead. And one of them was a friend of mine, which is, I guess, meaning Elita. He's just like, I just want to know what this is all about. Like some reckoning. Somebody's got to pay for all of this, right?
Funny that he just says she was a friend of mine, though.
It's weird. There was some coming to terms with himself, and maybe he acknowledged her and Alfredo's relationship. I don't know. There could have been. I wanted to see more of that cross-country road trip with him and Alfredo, and more talk. I just wanted more from that. As weird as that was.
Oh my God, I got to do a recut trailer where we just make it look like a cross-country trip between a disembodied head and War Notes. I see a movie in the future all of a sudden, Anthony.
Just with some of that fun Badlands music or whatever. I don't know. Some fun music like Tommy Boy or something. I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so the daughter just says kill him, and so he shoots, and then he shoots everybody in the room. Just like, man, just Benny is the deadliest man in film with a gun. Damn it, he is the deadliest pistolero. To say it like War Notes returns in Pistolero.
But of course, the daughter survives with the baby. Thank God, geez.
And they have a scene where he says to the daughter, "I took care of the father. Now you take care of the son," or something like.
Oh yeah, that's a little touching moment.
There's like a little moment between.
That's a deep moment. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both victims of Mapache's pride, and then he leaves. He jumps in the car, and the funny part, Jordan, is he grabs the sack with Alfredo's head in it. You know, he's like, "Let's go, Alfredo." And then he almost forgets the briefcase of money. And I love it. It's brilliant. And then he turns around and goes back and gets the money.
He's still a mercenary at the end of it all.
But that's weird. Like, why would he almost does it unconsciously? Like, let's go, Alfredo. We're getting out of here. It's a weird moment.
But yeah, like, so he drives out of the estate, basically gate, right, with these guys in tow.
Yeah, he's getting out. He just busts through the gates.
But then he crashes into these giant weed thingies, or these giant plants, basically. Or
like agave, or
I guess it's giant
or something.
It's giant cactus type.
Well,
anyway,
the reason he does that is because a bunch of people shoot him with guns, Jordan.
That's right.
He busts through the gates, and there's a bunch of guys with machine guns.
They are shooting at him as well. Yes, I forgot.
They just shoot up the car, and he gets killed. The futility of all of this, the nihilistic ending, just the everybody dies aspect.
Yeah. And then he gets mowed down when he gets out of the car, kind of Bonnie and Clyde style almost, right?
Yeah, he gets shot to pieces pretty much and dies. And that's the end of and the movie ends with just a gun, watching the barrel of a gun shooting. And that's why. But just imagine if he lived with Alfredo and they just drove off into the sunset. And we had a sequel. What would the sequel be like?
Alfredo, we're going to Texas. What do you think? Think that's okay? Shut up. Who cares what you say? Here, have some tequila. We're going to California now, Alfredo.
I know. You wanted to see him and Alfredo drive off into the sunset. You wanted them to get away. I wanted them to get away. That's a testament to Warren Oates' acting, though. No joking when I'm saying that now. Because look, if he can do a scene with a disembodied head, dude, that's a fucking actor, man. Give the guy an. They should have. They were. Hollywood was not kind to Warren Oates. I'm sorry. They should have given an Oscar for this movie. I said. Oh man, Two-Lane Blacktop alone, where he plays a pathological liar. I mean, it's a fascinating performance. I'm sorry. This is even more fascinating. I'm going to harp on you 1974, 1975 for a bit as a year. Hey, what is wrong with you 1974, 1975? Oh, Warren Oates' performance is not good enough to nominate for Best Actor? Come on, man. It's like 2 years before Shaft got an Oscar for the Best Theme Song, you know? I mean, Clockwork Orange was the Best Picture nominee. Come on, people. Don't even tell me this is far out a weird idea here in 1974, 1975. I'm just pointing the finger at 1974, 1975 for really, like, come on, underlooking Warren Oates for an Oscar, you know. Yeah. And the Academy back then in general. It was like Chinatown was everything, but oh yeah, Chinatown, but yeah, Chinatown, where they're dealing with. This is right up there with Chinatown. I mean, which movie would you rather watch, this film or Chinatown? Which movie makes more sense? Good question. Shit. I'll take this movie over Chinatown. Really? I'll take this movie over Chinatown. Yeah. I think you know why? Because maybe it's a personal thing. I could get off on a rant here about it off to the side, but Chinatown, every screenwriting book I read, they were always referencing Chinatown. And now when I read about the writing process of Chinatown, it irritates me. It is a good movie, Chinatown. Very good movie. Well directed, well acted. Yeah, but there's also some spots of Chinatown where you're just like, what the fuck's going on? No shit. Is this really a detective movie? It's not really a solid detective movie. He goes nowhere, basically. He doesn't do anything or figure. It's like the mystery solves itself. Anyway. But yeah, no, that's why I would take this movie over. That's why I guess I would take, if I had a gun to my head, so to speak, if I had Benny with a gun to my head, or I'd take this movie over Chinatown. I guess I will say that as of today, at least presently. Yeah. That's the weird thing, is I don't think Peckinpah shows us violence like Tarantino or Rodriguez do to have fun with it. It's not a fun experience. It just shows like he's like, this is man. We are brutal. We are ugly beings. We're raw. We're no different than animals. This is what we do. And that's what, like, and that's the 70s. It's like what they were about. Film was trying to challenge you. Films don't challenge you here today as often.
So to go really film theory deep here.
But that gun, like at the end of the movie, it's just rattling bullets, and that's how the movie ends. The movie begins with swans, and the movie ends with a gun shooting bullets and killing our protagonist. And we don't get that sequel. We don't get like the Weekend at Bernie's 2 version of Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, where like Warren Oates is at a pool, and then like Alfredo's like sitting in Alfredo's the gunny sack sitting next to him on a fucking on a beach chair. We don't get that.
No, now that you bring that up, I want that movie now. This movie, definitely. This is Sam Peckinpah's horror film. This is, I mean, Straw Dogs is kind of a horror film. It's very much a horror film itself.
Sam Peckinpah dwells on violence. He doesn't make it pretty, and he doesn't have easy answers. And you may not like his characters, you may not like what he has to say, but I'd say he's true to them. I'd say they're true to themselves, and they're not always people who know what's going on and have easy answers. So they're very flawed and they're very human. And we want Benny to win. And if it wasn't made in 1974, that might have happened. But because it's Peckinpah, especially because it's the 70s, where they just loved a downer ending.
Yeah, in the late 70s, early 60s, it was in to basically everybody was always going to die at the end of a movie. Basically, your heroes were always going to die at the end, or they were going to fail, or in some big giant way. Charlton Heston, Planet of the Apes, example.
Yeah, we have something to say about life and humanity and all of this, and we're saying it in this film, and audiences tended to like that, except for this film, Jordan. Now, prior to this, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, a movie I'm not particularly fond of. Of course, I've never seen the extended cut.
Yeah, previous Sam Peckinpah movie, starring also Chris Christopherson as well,
in a far less reviling role, revilable.
Hey, Pete, who's that outside? I know that's one line from the movie I remember.
Yeah, that movie was a success. This movie cost $1.5 million, according to Wikipedia. Big asterisk.
Yeah.
Box office, U.S. and Canada, Jordan, $700,000.
Ouch. You would think a movie like this would fly back then better, box office wise. You would think, right? I mean, it wasn't too far out compared to anything else back then. Like you say, just like Chinatown or.
I mean, from our modern eyes, this just seems like a 70s movie. You know what I mean? Like, hey, of course, it would make sense that this type of movie would have been made in the 70s or 90s with a different bend. But it just seemed like a movie. But back then, I mean, maybe it was a little too weird. Maybe it was a little too Mexican. Maybe it was a little too, I don't know. Maybe marketing. I don't know. Something happened to this film.
It looked like they marketed the hell out of this movie, though, because on the Blu-ray, there's TV spots on there that indicate that it was pretty well marketed. I guess it just didn't click with people, or people were just like, what the fuck like maybe it was too far out even for 1974, maybe. But what I wanted to add to earlier, what you were saying about the style of the gunplay and violence and all do you think Sam Peckinpah, it was only coincidental that it became stylish, his style of gunplay, you think he was trying to make it more realistic, but
I think he saw real violence in his own life and being in the military or whatever.
Yeah.
I think he saw brutality. There was brutality within him. And I think that's what comes out on screen. I don't think he's glorifying violence. I don't think he's glamorizing it. I think he's really using it as a message. I think, like you said, he sees the beauty in it in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you see painting.
Sort of like the way Kubrick looks at beauty in war and Full Metal Jacket sometimes, oddly, in this odd sort of macabre way, right? Yeah. I could see that. That makes sense, actually.
You could have a beautiful battle scene in a movie if it's done well and it's in slow motion and people are dying, and it's just like you said, it's an opera of violence.
Yeah. Peckinpah might have been the first to show us the most blood in a movie, honestly, with the Wild Bunch.
Oh, it's a weird condemnation of violence. It's just like he's holding a mirror up to people saying, "This is who you are. This is what violence is." It's not cute and cool like in the old 50s and 40s westerns where one bullet kills someone and that's it. People don't die prettily. They die in slow motion. They fall awkwardly. And then usually the guy shooting the bullets himself, the hero, gets killed anyway. So that what's the point? The statement I think he's making is like violence begets violence.
You know, you say that. That's interesting. You say that too, because maybe it's the same with his characters. He doesn't want Rock Hudson, Doris Day in his movie. He wants people that have lots of flaws.
He wants a Chris Christopherson. Yeah, I mean, this is a very ugly film, and I say that with all respect. It's not meant to be a pretty film. It's not meant to be a slick film.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it wants to be. Yeah, I think it wants to be.
It's not The Getaway. You know, but I mean, looks real, and I'm surprised it cost that much money to make.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, it was obviously a failure. So I don't know. It didn't hit the right tone, but I can tell you, generations later, this movie has become appreciated as a masterpiece in a way.
Yeah, just to throw that quote in earlier, if it didn't pick up, you know, Clive Barker once called this one of his favorite horror films. Maybe horror action, but
it's very macabre. But I see it as a buddy film. Disembodied head and the guy, they talk it out and they come to terms.
You're right, though. Actually, I laughed.
But that's only part of the. It's like
it predated the buddy cop thing, the buddy film from the 80s. You know, if it had been if this movie had been made in 1984, it might have been more about the head.
Yeah, Benny, meet your new partner. It's Alfredo.
Yeah,
he's just a goddamn head in a bag.
Well, guess what, Benny? We need y'all to solve a crime with us and help us catch this bad guy.
There's a new head in town, you know, and it's like Alfredo's going back to school.
Alfredo 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Damn, that head can dance. So, rating wise, Jordan, what would you give this movie?
You know, even as bizarre as it is, and don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't know. Sam Peckinpah was probably not a good guy himself, but overall as a movie, not to all that aside and everything as a movie, this is an interesting movie. It's an interesting, crazy, macabre, bizarre movie. It's right up there with a David Lynch movie, I think, honestly. It's that weird, in my opinion. I think it's far out for Sam Peckinpah. And this was the guy that was sort of doing the existential Western early on, as well as Leone was and Corbucci was. But I'd still give it 3 out of 4 severed heads.
Oh, beat me to it.
Did I steal your joke?
No, I'm kidding. Okay, you keep making me do math, but I'm gonna do it out of 10. Personally, this is probably a good 8 out of 10 as far as just really interesting cult movies and what have you.
Okay, drum roll.
Most people may be a 5 or a 6, honestly. But This is a Peckinpah film. So I really think he's an interesting filmmaker. And of course, his films are a lot more brutal than a lot today. And of course, they're not politically correct or woke in any sense of the word.
Yeah. They're
tremendously complex, but I do think they're visceral. And I think they're interesting. And I think they challenge the audience.
Yeah.
In the way that that's why I think that, like I said earlier, Peckinpah is like a European director who's working in America.
He has he had a European sensibility for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The cinema verite, and that's what it is.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it's a good way to put it. This movie does have a very raw, very documentary kind of feel to it. You say Jackie Brown too. Tarantino, when he was doing Jackie Brown, was trying to mess with the lighting less, that kind of stuff. Try to make things more realistic. Try to play off of what was in the room.
Yeah.
As far as the look and shooting and all. But yeah, it does have a documentary quality. But I'm sorry, back to you.
Well, no, I think it's an important film. I think it's an interesting film. And I think it is a film that will be talked about for many years just because it's so weird, but so well done in so many ways. So, Jordan, did you learn anything from this movie?
I learned that, you can keep a severed head preserved in dry ice.
Yeah.
But also, you better keep it preserved because there's going to be a lot of flies around that severed head.
Get some bug spray. And that's the thing. Half this movie is Benny trying to ice the head, it feels like, there for a while. He's just trying to find ice
Yeah.
in Mexico to keep the head cool.
You're talking about the middle part of the movie,
Yeah.
basically. That's the whole middle part. It also made me feel better about liking tequila, and because this movie, all these people drink way more tequila than I do in this movie.
Yeah.
Made me feel like less of an alcoholic than I normally am.
This movie did not teach me anything about drinking and driving or gun safety. I promise you that. That is something I did not learn from this film. I learned that you can fly with a severed head in Mexico. No problem.
Who knew? At least back in 1974, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. And I learned that every car in Mexico is just hopelessly beat up. Like before a car comes over the border, they just beat it up. And then like, there you go.
I think that, yeah, you have to, I think that's an initiation kind of deal. I don't know. They have to beat it up they have to have a fist fight with the car. That's what it always looks like.
And Jordan, I learned to love Alfredo Garcia. I don't know, something about him, something about that picture, something about the way people talk about him. It's like he's a lovable rogue.
I talked about Warren Oates getting an Oscar. The severed head should have got an Oscar too, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
What an actor, that severed head. I don't know who played that severed head. I think it was Robert Vaughn, I heard, in an uncredited
Robert Vaughn. But anyway,
I guess we can wrap this up.
We can wrap it up. This was a fun one. Love this movie. Go watch it.
Yeah, it was interesting looking at this movie again. I hadn't seen it in so long. I hadn't watched it in so long. Yeah, it was nevertheless like a night at the drive-in almost.
But not a one-dimensional movie. Peckinpah does not make simple movies. You leave this questioning a lot of things and thinking. It makes you think about a lot of things, which is... I
would be selective about who I would recommend this movie to, though, at the same time. You know, I hate to say it. I'm sorry. I don't know if some people could stomach this movie.
Not going to tell my mom to watch this one.
Yeah, this movie's from another time and place. I don't know if you could. I don't know if some people could stomach this movie, and that's okay. It's understandable.
But I like it.
This movie hits you in the gut.
I want more. That's Peckinpah movies, man. Peckinpah movies slap you like you're Andy McGraw or something, or Ally McGraw. They just slap you in the face out of nowhere.
Like Steve McQueen slapping Ally McGraw. Yeah, I guess, in The Getaway. But yeah, man, I forgot. I just forgot how they do hit you. That is the power of a Peckinpah movie. They really hit you. They give you that big visceral gut punch. Definitely.
Well, all right, Jordan. It's been great talking to you about movies, especially this wonderful film we both find intriguing. And next time we will be talking about some other movie, probably without.
Can it have another severed head, please?
Yeah, let's talk about another severed head movie.
Or a dead body, maybe, that's the main character. Maybe we can have burned. I don't know. Okay, we'll think about it.
We'll think about something. But anyways, yeah, everyone, thanks for listening. We hope you've enjoyed this journey through Peckinpah films, at least one of them. And we encourage you to check them out.
If you want to learn more about Sam Peckinpah, go to your local library. Check out his films.
All right. Jordan, I will talk to you later. And thanks again. This has been...
The robots took my goddamn podcast. Get away from me with your fucking eyes.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Who is Alfredo Garcia? And why is everyone looking for him? Because he makes the finest tequila in all of Mexico. Your girlfriends, your wife, your teenage daughters will love its smooth, roguish flavor. And at the bottom of every bottle is a locket with Alfredo's picture in it for you to fall in love with. Look for the label with this smug man mocking you. And the next time you are in a shady Mexican bar, you look the bartender in his fucking eyes and you say, "Bring me the tequila of Alfredo Garcia."
Please drink responsibly. Not responsible for gunfights, cross-country road trips with disembodied heads, or teenage pregnancy. All trailers, clips, music, or any other copyrighted material are used sparingly, edited from their original forms, and used for the purposes of criticism, discussion, commentary, and education about these fine films.